students, today we will be studying the osteological features of the first and the second rib. Now what we see here are the two pairs of the first and the second rib. We will first study the first rib. Now the first rib has a few peculiar features. It is the shortest rib. It is the broadest rib. It is the most curved of all the ribs. It has no twisting or angle. If at all we say the angle is present, it coincides with the tubercle. The head has only one single facet. It has no costal groove. The neck is rounded and elongated. And this rib is flattened from superior to inferior aspect and thus has got a superior and an inferior surface for the shaft and an inner and an outer border. So these are the characteristic features of the first rib. Now when we describe the morphological features of the first rib, it has got an anterior end, posterior end and a shaft. Anterior end shows an oval facet for articulation with the first costal cartilage and it is broad. The posterior end shows the head, the neck and the tubercle. The head is rounded and shows a single facet for articulation with the body of the first thoracic vertebra. The neck is rounded and elongated and it is directed upwards, backwards and laterally. The tubercle is large and rounded. The shaft is flattened. It has got two surfaces and two borders. It has a superior surface and an inferior surface. It has an inner concave border and an outer convex border. The inner concave border in the middle shows a projection which is the scalene tubercle. The superior surface shows a ridge which separates two grooves and this ridge when traced medially meets with the scalene tubercle. These are the features of the first rib. Now let us see the relations and the attachments. When we talk of the neck, the posterior area of the neck shows attachment of the inferior costotransverse ligament. The anterior part of the neck is related to four structures from medial to lateral. These are the sympathetic trunk, the first posterior intercostal vein, the superior intercostal artery and the ventral ramus of the first thoracic nerve. These four structures can be remembered from medial to lateral as SVAN, SVAN, sympathetic trunk, first posterior intercostal vein, superior intercostal artery and the ventral ramus of the first thoracic nerve. When we come on to the tubercle, the lateral part of the tubercle gives attachment to the lateral costotransverse ligament while the tubercle articulates with the transverse process of the first thoracic vertebra to form the costotransverse joint. Both the costovertebral joint as well as the costotransverse joint are plain synovial type of joints. We then go on to the shaft. The scalene tubercle as well as the ridge on the superior surface of the shaft give attachment to the scalenus anterior muscle. The ridge separates the two grooves. The anterior groove is related to the subclavian vein while the posterior groove is related to the subclavian artery and behind that the lower trunk of the brachial plexus. Here, these three structures can be remembered from anterior to posterior as VAN. subclavian vein, anterior-most, then the subclavian artery, and posterior-most is the nerve that is the lower trunk of the brachial plexus. The outer border of the shaft near the middle gives attachment to the first digitation of serratus anterior. The area behind this gives attachment to the scalenus medius muscle. Nearer the anterior end of the shaft, we can see attachment of the subclavius muscle anteriorly, and posteriorly it shows attachment of the costoclavicular ligament. The inferior surface of the first rib along the outer border shows attachment of the intercostal muscles. These were all the morphological features and attachments of the first rib. Now let us see how do you identify the side to which this bone belongs. The anterior end is broader, while the posterior end shows the head, neck and the tubercle. The inner concave border faces medially, while the outer convex border faces laterally. The superior surface of the shaft shows the ridge with the two grooves, while the inferior surface is smooth. Keeping this in mind, we can identify that this rib belongs to the right side. We can also place the first rib on the table, and when the two ends are touching the table, we are keeping it in the proper orientation, and this surface is the superior surface. If we keep it the other way around, only the anterior end will touch the table, while the head will not be touching the table. So these features help us in identifying the side. And how do we hold the first rib in the normal anatomical position? The posterior end is more towards the midline as compared to the anterior end. The posterior end lies about 3.5 centimeters above the anterior end, and the superior surface of the shaft faces upwards and forwards. So this is how you hold the first rib in the normal anatomical position. These were the features of the first rib. Now we go on to study the features of the second rib. The second rib also has a few characteristic features. It is highly curved like the first rib. It is about twice the length of the first rib. It has no twisting, and therefore both ends of the bone are in contact with the table or with the flat surface when you place the rib on the flat surface. Slight angle is present close to the tubercle of the second rib. Like the first rib, this rib too has a slight upward convexity near the tubercle. The second rib has got a small head with two articular facets, and on the upper surface of the shaft, this rib shows a rough impression or a roughened area for muscular attachment. These are the characteristic features of the second rib. Now let us see the morphological features. Apart from the features which are seen in a typical rib, the second rib also shows a few additional features. This rib is a transitional rib, intermediate between the orientation of the first rib and the orientation of a typical rib. Thus, when we see the shaft of the second rib, the surfaces are obliquely placed. The upper surface is more upwards than laterally placed, while the inner surface or the inferior surface is more medially oriented than inferiorly oriented. Thus, the surfaces of the shaft can be said to be superolateral surface and inferomedial surface. So it's a transition between the superior and inferior surfaces of the first rib and the medial and lateral surfaces of a typical rib. This rib has a prominent roughened area slightly behind the midpoint of the outer border of the shaft, and this roughened area is going to give attachment to the serratus anterior muscle, lower part of first digitation and the second digitation, and the area behind it gives attachment to the scalenus posterior muscle. Posterior most on the outer border, this rib gives attachment to the first slip of the serratus posterior superior muscle. So 3 muscles attached on the second rib. Other features of the second rib are similar to a typical rib. How do we identify the site to which it belongs? The head, neck and tubercle lie posteriorly. The anterior end lies anteriorly. The inner curved border faces medially. The outer convex border faces laterally, and the surfaces are superolateral surface and inferomedial surface. Thus, this second rib belongs to the right side. Thus, these were the features of the second rib. We have thus done the osteological features of the first and the second rib. Thank you.